Ahoy hoy, we are back on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. Week 11 of the Premier League. Ian Danter here, Paul Nicholson, the asset, alongside me. It's a nice looking top.
I think you've got one, haven't you?
I think I have, yeah.
You're the first person to get one.
I was very proud to receive my branded Paul Nicholson, the asset, Windmow sweatshirt. Very nice indeed, nice hoodie top. Available at all good outlets. And some rubbish ones as well, probably, I don't know. 2 quarterfinals done and dusted, with Nathan Aspinall just seeing off Gerwyn Price 6-3, and Chris Dobey the same scoreline over the world number 1 Luke Humphries. Some performances, we were just talking about that in the little break whilst we launched this stream for the 3rd quarterfinal. Price and Humphries not quite on it tonight.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to happen for Luke Humphries in the first game, and towards the end he was getting a bit annoyed with something. We can speculate as to what it was, but only Luke knows. I'm sure maybe some people backstage will know now, but towards the middle of the game that Price was having with Aspinall, we saw a definitive change in his approach. His technique has always been very much have the dart in front of his face, little prod forward, back and through, and something wasn't clicking, and he was trying to fix it by just throwing at the board naturally without an aiming point. And at times he was throwing some really great scores, but on the whole Aspinall was on it and was able to get himself another couple of points at the behest of the Iceman, who loses to Aspinall for the first time this year in the Premier League.
Well, as you mentioned in our previous stream, most of the people inside the Ahoy in Rotterdam have come to see and cheer on and support just one man who's about to take to the stage the 3-time world champion Michael van Gerwen, who's had a very difficult, not just 2025, but I don't know how far back you think the general malaise goes with Michael's game. Probably since he had his, since before he had his surgeries and his dental work done, I guess.
Yeah, it was a middle part of 2023 when he had his surgery to his jawline. I know that at the time it was more mental scarring, even though there was physical scarring. I know that his self-esteem took a bit of a hit. He played incredibly when he came back in Poland. Some of the games he put in, we thought, well, this is rather astonishing. Maybe he's going to be better because he's had some jaw surgery. But I think over the last 18 months, what we've seen are a lack of results. As far as output is concerned, the averages haven't changed that much. They honestly haven't. But maybe his range has changed. The big stuff is there, but the B game is far, far lower than it was.
Yeah. We have seen flashes of the MVG we will expect on the good side of things during the course of this Premier League, and he is just the wrong side of the dotted line on 15 points, same as Gerwyn Price, who of course will now pick up nothing tonight. Aspinall's got on to 17 points by virtue of the fact that he's now reached the semi-final. That could go up by 1 or could go up by 5 points depending on what he does, or 3 points rather, depending on what he does from this point on. But you can hear Pitbull pumping up your stereo. That means that the bullet, Stephen Bunting, is on his way to the stage. Now, whilst this is one of the more popular walk-ons, I think even this is going to be usurped by when the green machine takes to the stage in a second.
It's going to be an interesting interaction. But revel in Stephen Bunting and what he's doing this season. He's been questioned an awful lot. But when he got that win in Berlin and subsequently won the International Darts Open in the few days after that, he has turned things around. And if he wins here in Rotterdam tonight, and if he wins next week, he'll be back in the race. It can change in as little as 8 days. And as he orchestrates the crowd his own way, he's trying to get them on side. I'm not sure it's going to work though.
Well, they are singing along with him, in fairness to him. He's mouthing the words, and they're joining in, arms aloft. Fair play, Bunting. It's a partisan crowd, pretty much, but he's got them singing. Good work.
Yeah, it's nice to see the dancers got the memo as well. They're all decked out in orange.
Yeah.
But only one of them went with the orange hair, which is that's commitment.
There's a very much commitment to the cause. Bunty just shaking hands with the officials, the ref Kirk Bevins and the scorers on the stage. And now it's time for MVG to make his entrance. So suddenly the Ahoy in Rotterdam is awash with green lights to denote the arrival of MVG. Yeah, never mind 3 world titles. How does 7 Premier League titles grab you? But he's got a lot of work to do from this point on, with 7 weekly nights to go to try and confirm himself for the playoffs at the end of May at the O2 in London. Of course, we'll be there on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel for whoever those final 4 will be. So he's on his way to the stage, MVG. Now, he complained last year, Paul Nicholson, about drafty conditions at the Ahoy, which Matt Porter, the CEO of the Professional Darts Corporation, says has been solved with extra, draped curtains, those big, heavy black curtains you see at gigs and at sporting occasions. So we'll see. Well, nobody's complained so far tonight in the 2 quarters we've had, it seems to me.
Yeah, nobody's complained visually so far. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in this game. Michael is not far from home. He was even closer to home earlier in the week. Lives in Vlijmen, which is spitting distance away from Rosmalen. But he was home pretty quickly on Monday and fairly quickly on Tuesday as well. But I wonder if this is the vessel for him to kick on in 2025. And I like what Michael's been saying recently. 2 things. 1, don't judge me as the player I've been, judge me by the player I am now. And that's the whole discussion about his technique. I really like that narrative. But I also like the fact that we say he's been struggling, but he's still got the same amount of points as Gerwyn Price. And we think he's had an astonishing 2025 so far. So, if he wins against Bunting, he will go to 17 points with Nathan Aspinall, and he doesn't have to play Nathan prospectively tonight until the final. Boy, would he love to get to the final.
Yeah, he did struggle at the start of 2025. Michael van Gerwen wasn't able to win consecutive matches in competitive tournaments. He'd get himself started at a tournament, but just couldn't build on it. As you've already mentioned, that win at the International Darts Open, a big moment for Stephen Bunting on the Euro Tour. And his first time in the Premier League for 10 years, started so badly. But he got that nightly win under his belt in Berlin. But he has to throw in the even number legs. Van Gerwen has the darts, and we're underway in this race to 6.
They have to win that throw as well backstage. That's important to note. You have to get the start, you have to earn it. But it was a big moment for Bunting winning in reset, getting his first European Tour victory. He's only going to win 36 more to catch Michael. That's not going to happen. I don't think anybody wins that many in the rest of their career. Interestingly, Dance here, since the start of the week, we've got a Van Gerwen change of equipment. He's gone back to his old exact darts, 21.5 grams, and these are the kind of things that he used predominantly for the last 12, 13 years. He had a change of equipment at the back end of last year. He's reverted back to an older model.
Oh. You heard a maximum get popped in there by the bullet early on. Remember, he's against the dart, so he's half a dart ahead. Maybe more, actually, with this visit. Indeed, he's down to a finish, is Bunty, of 130 with Van Gerwen back on 238 here, Nico.
Yeah, he's looking at the 19s as well, and he's veered into the treble 3. I like the angle of entry for Michael so far tonight, but it's not enough to get him to a finish, that single 19. He leaves 190. Bunting 60 points better off.
And he's already got 60 more to leave himself on 70. Trying to lay it up, single 18, leave himself on 52, so double 16 will be required when Bunty returns.
Just got to pressurise from this position. You've got to accept the fate of losing the darts in the first leg if you're in this position. 32 for Bunting, throwing from the right-hand side of the hockey as usual. Misses it left. Second dart, same sort of result, but lower. And then he fixes it with dart number 3. He will be very, very pleased with this start. It's not a blistering one, but it is a winning start to take a 1-0 lead. And maybe one of the things that will get his juices running is that he said he was starstruck yesterday. He bumped into someone in his hotel that he genuinely admires, a certain Jerzy Dudek.
Oh yes, he of the wobbly legs in the Champions League final in 2005, I want to say. Do the Dudek. We've all done it. Yeah, Bunty, a big Liverpool supporter. And he's another dart player who changed his equipment after playing with the lightest darts on tour for some considerable time.
Yeah, his barrels went on a Bryson DeChambeau diet. Protein shakes after every single visit.
But he soon bulked up to sort of double the weight that they were. And that seems to have coincided with his best year ever on tour last year in terms of percentage of victories. He won 68% of his encounters last year, a shade better than anything he's done before in previous years.
Absolutely. He's been stunning for a couple of years and very consistent on the tour. He's got 204 here as Bunting. He is drastically ahead in this second leg. We'll get into that in a minute.
He's finding that treble 20 nice and early, isn't he? First dart's good tonight.
Yeah, third one was pretty good as well. 132 with 2 treble 20s sandwiched by, well, the sandwich filling was a treble 4. 72 for Bunting, but we can't hide this anymore. Van Gerwen's having a shocker.
Yep.
He's averaging 67, and he might be 2-0 down. In fact, he should be. The way he's played so far, he didn't deserve the first couple of legs. Michael has got to snap into gear here because this is well below par.
Well, a couple of treble 19s will help, but the first dart is typically underpitched tonight from MVG, which always, we talk about it so often here when we do our talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 and YouTube channel darts coverage. It's about the tightness of the arm and the tricep muscle not allowing that true release of the dart, but that's more like it from MVG. Pops in a maximum on home turf to try and take control of leg 3. 2-0 down he is.
Yeah, he needed that. He needed something to happen. But just to echo what you were saying, Dance, it was all about the first dart. He gets that right. He got the visit right.
But again, on this visit, first dart is underpitched. Good cover on treble 18 to take himself down for a 2-dart kill of 94. This time it's Bunting, who's practically back in St Helens on 308 less this visit. He won't get down to a finish either, so should be a leisurely stroll to a holder throw for the green machine from here on in.
Yeah, should be 94, and he's got the treble 18. Tops after a little stutter with the retrieval of the dart from the previous hand. He's missed double 10 to the right after missing tops, so he will come back for double 10 with Bunting at the halfway point of the leg on 250.
It's a wayward dart from the bullet. Slipped into treble 5, just the wrong side of the wire. Good readjustment, not once but twice, but Van Gerwen should take double 10 here, an inch outside. A bit further now, it's a real blocker. Oh, and the third dart hangs between the first two, got nowhere near the bed.
Yeah, that is a dart the Dutch call a hat stand, where it's dangling in the air. And is Van Gerwen going to have his pocket picked here? 115 for Bunting, that's a small 19. He doesn't get the treble 20, he's just a little bit above it. He leaves himself well placed just in case Van Gerwen can't take double 10 again. 3
more at 10s, this time a little wry smile. No booyah from MVG pinning that. Just a bit of a wry smile to say, okay, I can hit double 10.
Well, Bunting with a 2-1 lead here in this third quarter final of the night in Rotterdam in week 11 is up against it tonight. He's up against the crowd. He's up against Michael Van Gerwen, who he's never beaten in Premier League darts. That includes 1 from this year and 2 from 2015.
Yep.
And let's throw on the fire the fact that Bunting is the only player tonight who's never played in Rotterdam.
Yep, we've not been coming to Rotterdam too often. Aspinall won the last 2. Cullen won in the first tournament back after lockdown in 2022. MVG popping in his second maximum of the night to get the crowd on its feet. Well, he started really poorly, MVG, but he just seems to be starting to go through the gears here.
Just seems to be grasping it a little bit at a time. And he's being allowed that kind of breathing space by Bunting, who was not playing as well as he was earlier in the match. Now, some of the collisions that Michael's having off his own equipment, it's starting to annoy him.
Doesn't take much to get MVG a little shirty up on the stage if things aren't going exactly his way. Bunting going for the 18s, as you should, from 302 to try and leave a finish. He ends up with a trebleless visit, and his game has dropped off appreciably.
This is better from Michael. 60 to start, 140 visit, with the last start hitting the second treble 20 to leave 82. His fans love it. Bunting back on 244. Just seems to have lost his range in the scoring department. This is a little bit better though. Scores a ton to leave 144, but Van Gerwen favourite to go 2-2.
Bull for double 16. He's just inside 16s. Just hesitates. One dart in his hand for 2-8s. For 2-2. Well taken by MVG. So the break has been cancelled out. And remember, Michael Van Gerwen won the bull backstage, so he has the darts back on throw on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.
Now, Michael has never won in Rotterdam. In fact, he hasn't had a great time of it. He made the final back in 2022, lost to Cullen, the game that you mentioned there, Dance. But if you go back a few years when they started Rotterdam on the circuit, the first night was the first of two nights they played concurrently because of what happened earlier in the season. They needed to get one of the nights back.
Yeah, because Exeter got snowed in, didn't it, just before the UK Open.
MVG beat Peter Wright that night 7-1 when it was that format. The following night he beat Barneveld 7-1. It's not like he can't play well in Rotterdam, but he's right. It's about the player he is now, not the player he was 6 years ago.
Now, Michael Van Gerwen has just literally pulled his socks up, and that isn't just literal, that's figurative, because when Michael Van Gerwen does that, typically that means there's something pretty special around the corner when he adjusts his footwear. He's got a great record against Bunting as well. It is 26-4 in the head-to-heads, as MVG looks for a bullseye after two treble 20s, ends up with just a single 2, but he's on a 3-dart finish of 99.
He won't like that. He's gone for the bull to try and take himself into a better zone, and he's left himself on 99 with Bunting about to be better off. He's actually got the 25 at the end of his combination to leave 96, but it is 99, small 19, and he's not going to get any double tops, but he's going to leave one.
He is. He went tops, but the first dart was a good half an inch underneath the tops bed. So treble 20, double 18 for Bunty to break back and go 3-2 up. Well, he's got the treble 20, double 18. There's a 2-dart kill that will make Stephen Bunting a much happier man. He's broken the MVG throw to seize control of this match again. He's 3-2 up in a race to 6.
Sounds like a Steven Seagal movie, doesn't it? 2-dart kill coming soon to an Oki near you.
It's got to be Jason Statham nowadays, isn't it? You know, I think the Steven Seagal era might have.
You might have just trundled onto something there.
Oh yeah.
How about Jason Statham playing Michael Van Gerwen in a movie?
Yeah, I can see that.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I can fully get behind that. I found out the other day Steve Coogan's playing Mick McCarthy in a movie, and I was gutted that I never got approached. There you go. I just don't have the clout these days. Never mind.
Well, it's been very up and down for Michael in this match.
It can't get any worse, can it, Michael?
It can. It can. It can.
Now, Bunty does have this awful record against MVG, but he did beat him in the Masters final 2 years ago.
Yeah. When you're going to beat him in the final. Not bad. They have been hanging around each other for the last 20 years. They've been through youth darts and junior darts together at certain points, but they're both world champions.
Yep. Although Bunty's never lifted the PDC World Crown, a former BDO champion. Wanted 170 to go 4-2 up, but he will get down to a finish of 70. Van Gerwen back on 324, less these, and the pressure's back on the green machine.
This is what he does with it. 3-2-4 comes down by a 2 treble score of 140, but Bunting with a 3-2 lead looking to get a 2-leg cushion again. Single 18 followed by a big 20, double 16. Bottom third finds it immediately. No chance for MVG. 4-2 down. He might be having another early bath dance.
Bunty must be feeling better about life than the amount of play. He came up against a rampant MVG when they met earlier in the Premier League. He's met so many players, Bunty, who've knocked in 100+ averages against him. He had Humphries last week hitting a 114 average against him in the quarterfinal, and it was 109 that MVG hit against Bunty earlier in this Premier League in a quarterfinal. And that's just two of the players that have completely got their A game going against the Bullet. But Van Gerwen 4-2 down here with the throw in leg 7.
2-6-2 for Michael. Bunting with a 140, gets himself half a dart ahead on 2-2-1. All of a sudden they're both hitting treble 20s. Bad second dart from Michael, but 105 for him gets him to 157. He's first to the finishing zone, but I think he's about to have some company.
Bunty hits a single 1 from 2-2-1. Goes for the bull and hits 25. Trying to leave it on a finish. He stays in the centre of the board and pins the bullseye. So 157 first for MVG, Nico.
That was brilliant thinking from Stephen. He gets a single 1 and 2 25s, leaves 170. But he gets the bull. Now if he takes that 145, this will be ironic. This is the number that gave Van Gerwen his first PDC major back in 2012 against Mervyn King. He hit a 145, did Michael. 13 years ago nearly. But Bunting 4-2 up, 145 it is then. There's the 5.
So what does he do from here? Well, I don't know whether he's obscured the treble 20 bed. He's moved across to the left hand side of the Yockey. It's a bit awkward, hits small 20, so he's back actually well outside where he normally stands at the right hand corner, and he pins treble 20 that time. That was an unorthodox visit.
Who does he think he is? Declan Rice. Great shot. Van Gerwen on 79 has got tops, but only just. Now, that hit the single, but in the right-hand side of the bed. And he's just a double 1. Now, he believes, and I can read Michael, he thinks there's a breeze.
Again, as he complained about last year in this venue. Bunting wants tops to go one leg away from victory. Can't find it, though.
I've got to be honest, Dan, I think there is a breeze because one of Michael's darts went in almost sideways. But it's gone on the double 19 there, and he's only 4-3 down now.
Come on, he says.
Off the back of last week in Manchester, where he registered his lowest ever Premier League average of 85.59 against Nathan Aspinall. He wants to put it right here in his home country, but he's 4-3 down, and Bunting started with a max in leg number 8.
It's extraordinary in that first match we brought you tonight that Chris Dobey hit all the maximums against Luke Humphries, and Bunty is already 4 perfect darts in. The 5th one just eludes him for the moment, but that is only his 2nd maximum. MVG is 3-2 up in that particular statistic.
Knowing these players as we do, if Van Gerwen believes that these playing conditions are breezy, he will not show his opponent any weakness. He will not show any weakness at all in front of camera, but someone backstage, there will be a very interesting conversation had. And
the press conference won't exactly be full of sort of euphemisms. He always calls a spade a spade.
That's double 8 for a 12 darter for Bunting. He can't take 41 out, and Van Gerwen, we're back on 265. He's have to use the 19s.
His average has dropped down to 84. This is the sort of level that Van Gerwen was putting in Rosmalen on Monday and Tuesday. He's had another hat stand. His 2nd of the night as he tried to pin a treble 19. How often does that happen in the same match as Bunting pins double 4 to go 5-3 up?
He can't believe that's gone in. He's looked at the double 4s if to say, I went for the middle, it's just about jagged the top corner. Maybe he is Declan Rice in disguise. He would hate me saying that because he's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, you won't want any mention of that whatsoever.
He's going to be happy that Virgil van Dijk signed a contract this week, as well as Salah recently, so there's something to perk yourself up about if you're a Liverpool fan. But Van Gerwen, a PSV fan, is very displeased right now.
140 though from the green machine, hanging in there as best he can. 5-3 then to Bunting. 1 leg required to get himself through to the semi-final to face either Luke Littler or Rob Cross, who are up next on stage at the Ahoy in Rotterdam. Lovely couple of darts in treble 18 from Bunty. And a trebleless visit from Van Gerwen, and he shrugs his shoulders. The body language not great as he retrieves those darts, the Green Machine.
He is feeling disconsolate, to say the least, right now. 104 from Bunting, very well crafted visit. 25 at the end, leaves 170. Van Gerwen on 206. Scores a ton. This is match point Bunting. Now, can he find a 170 the way that Aspinall did earlier?
No, he's just underneath the red bit. Looks for treble 19s on the cover, but only finds 2 singles, so he's not really et into that 172 much. Van Gerwen wants 46. 14 for double 16. Great checkout of 106 for MVG. So he holds throw. Now he's got a break.
The most important word in that sentence was has. If he doesn't, he's out in Rotterdam in the quarterfinals. It's 5-4 Bunting, and he starts with 96. That checkout of 106 from Van Gerwen was perfect.
Oh, but the first visit is anything but down to just 4-5-7, and he just admonishes himself as he walks up, snatches the darts angrily out the board. MVG. And your trebleless visit for Bunty from 405. So the door is open for MVG to get back on terms. He's definitely going to do that. Third dart deflects into single one, but a 121 will do nicely at this point.
At least he gets him back into the leg with a 10-point advantage. It's not going to last long. Bunting on 3-4-6, can't leave a finish, but he veers into the treble 3. Crowd involved. So treble 19 with the last dart. Good fix there from Bunting, leaving 260. Pressure on Michael.
It's a great first dart, but the second dipped underneath, but the adjustment there to get the 140 back was brilliant, but he's not quite on a finish. 196, and he pulls the socks up again.
Not like he can't afford good socks. Trust me, he can.
I imagine he's like Gordon Brown. He never wears the same pair of socks twice. That's what I remember.
Well, Stephen Bunting's just socked him right there with a 140. It's going to be an easier chance than the 170 to win the match in the previous leg. 120, and Van Gerwen can only hit a ton to leave 96. It's either game on or game over. Bunting, going through his process, needs Shanghai for a 6-4 victory.
Oh, it's treble 1. Couldn't have had a worse start, and the crowd love it because it opens the door for their hero, Michael Van Gerwen, to break through and take us to a deciding leg. He hits single 1 from 96. Covers on the treble 19 for double 19, and another efficient kill on the outer ring takes us to 5-all, and now MVG has the darts to win the thing.
Trying to protect his perfect Premier League record against last year's PDC World Masters champion. Michael has had to work so hard in this game. The adversity has been there from the start. His first 2 legs were terrible, but the fact that he is still 5-5 with Bunting right now shows just how resilient he can be. But he might have a huge problem in the shape of this man, who's just maxed to start the last leg.
That is timing. Back comes MVG, looking for a max of his own. 139 only as he came downstairs with the final dart. He's still averaging under 90 MVG. Bunty's average is just a shade below 100.
Well, you know that's the truth, because that's been happening all year.
Yeah.
His highest average of this Premier League is a losing average. That was 105.33.
That was an important final dart in that visit for Bunty to get a ton. MVG coming down to 19s from 303. Hits treble 3 and a single 1. A visit that started so well fell apart.
Yeah, single 1 at the end. It's happened too many times, but it's still 50-50. 2-2-1 Bunting. Van Gerwen has lost the darts, but he's only 15 behind. And Rotterdam are trying to make sure that Bunting is not accurate, but they're not having an effect. That is a beautiful 140, and he sets up an even easier chance than 120 this time.
But Van Gerwen trying to set up a finish from 236. Pops in a maximum. What a time to put that in. Bunting now, this has got to go. 81 for the match for the bullet.
Oh, it has to go. Van Gerwen is praying internally. Please give me a shot. This place is loud. English dart players get a lot of home games. They don't get many away games. When you come to Rotterdam and you're playing MVG, this is what you're going to get. It's 81 for Bunting to win. He gets a 57, double 12, hits it immediately. To do that against someone who's bearing down on you in front of his audience, who are baying for blood. Bunting is strong in mind, and Bunting is a winner in Rotterdam by 6 legs to 5. The last time he won in the first round, he won the night in Berlin. Is that ominous?
I don't know what the Dutch is for cojones, but that's what Bunty has just shown, because MVG, despite a poor 3-dart average, was fighting and scrapping and snarling his way back into that encounter, popping in maximums and 2 good finishes and checkouts to bring it back to 5-all. But ultimately, that max at the start of the final leg gave Stephen Bunting that little bit of a cushion, so that when he got to a finish, he obliged on 81, and he's through to the semis to face either Cross or Littler.
Yeah, it's a lovely bookend leg that. Start with a max, end with a 2-dart kill of 81. It just goes to show that Stephen Bunting really is an elite dart player in very tough circumstances. Michael leaving the stage looked on the verge of tears, actually. He looked so disappointed not to get a chance, because let's face it, when you come to Rotterdam and you're Dutch, you want to perform in front of your audience. He gave everything he had tonight. I give him full credit in very tough circumstances with what he's been going through recently with form and change of technique and things like that. Michael showed his class tonight, but he's human, and this was his place. It just wasn't his night.
Only Stephen Bunting's 5th career win over Michael van Gerwen, and his first ever in the Premier League, and it takes him through to tonight's semi-finals. We'll bring you the quarter-final that will determine Bunty's opponent in just a moment. Scott Mitchell will rejoin me here for our next live and free watch-along on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel, which will be Luke Littler against Rob Cross. My thanks for the time being to Paul Nicholson. Let me remind you that when it comes to the Darts Premier League, the last thing you want is an online mishap throwing you off your game. Amongst the fastest VPNs available on the market, NordVPN gives you a quick location change when you need it most. All you have to do is go to nordvpn.com/dartsvpn, and you'll get 2 years plus 4 months free and a birthday deal into the bargain. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Make sure you click on the next link for Littler against Cross next here on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.